Hello guys, my name is Girish and I am a technical graduate, but I am not working anywhere on this planet. So today I am going to talk about addiction. Addiction is of many kinds. Maybe smartphone addiction, maybe eating addiction, maybe shopping addiction. But there is another type of addiction which is called drug addiction. So let's just start. Around 100 years ago, some like-minded people banned all the drugs and they imposed this law on the rest of the world. Since we made this a faithful decision to put our addicts in prison, to punish them, to make them suffer, to make them feel shame, and we believe that this incentive will stop them from using the drugs. And now if we look at dates in our life, they are hell of increasing. So we need to figure out the way out from this. There are some basic pertinent questions that we need to answer if we are talking about the addiction. Number one is what really causes addiction, and number two, why we still carry that same year old approach which doesn't even work properly. So, so I also try to go through the internet to read research and to find a way out, but there is nothing over there. So I decided to go in between the addicts and trying to figure out the answer. But from study, I came to find out that there are some countries which decriminalize all their drugs and they control them in a perfect manner. And from those studies, I came to a conclusion that everything we know about addiction is perfectly wrong. It's totally wrong. And if we all examine the recent studies about addiction or a substance use, then I think we need to change whole drug policy. So basic study of heroin suggested that a heroin contains some chemical hookup substances which over the time period your body demands more and more and more. That's what we are told about heroin. But in real truth, if any one of us get a road accident, get his leg broken, so he will be taken to the hospital and given a loads of dimorphine. And dimorphine is totally pure heroin, a professional grade heroin. So and a lot of people get dimorphine as a pain relief for a long period. So according to the study of heroin addiction, everybody must hooked up to that chemicals, but nobody is hooked up to them. So there is another study by Professor Bruce Alexander. He is a professor of psychology in Vancouver. He explained the addiction with an experiment. The experiment is called the rat experiment. He took a rat, put him in a cage, and gave him a bottle laced with heroin, bottle of drinking water laced with heroin. And what he saw after a week, he saw that the rat is dead, fully dead. And why is that? He drank all the laced heroin water. So he was a little bit confused that let's carry around this experiment in another way. So he made a rat park. A lot of things was there in rat park. Good food, good home, good environment, good friends, good connections. And yes, the same thing was there. One bottle of pure water, one bottle of laced water with heroin. But this time, no one actually goes to that water which was laced with heroin. Everybody drank that normal water, and no one get addicted. But this is a rat experiment. Rats are rats, human and humans. But at that time, there is another human experiment going at the other end of the world. And the experiment was called the Vietnam War. Yes, a lot of soldiers from India also fought over there. But the majority of the soldiers were American. And at that time, those American soldiers were using loads of heroin to fight with the symptoms of war. At that time, they were out from the home, they were out from the family, and they are using heroin. But but when the government sees all this situation, they think that these guys will become junkies when they came back to their homeland. But according to the Archive of Journal of Psychiatry, no one actually, no one of the soldiers actually go to rehab. They have no withdrawals, and 90%, 95% of those soldiers just stopped using heroin after the war. But if you remember the hookup theory from the heroin addiction, then the people might be a dead addicted. So the Professor Bruce Alexander started to think that there might be some other issue. Maybe there is a different story. Yeah, maybe there is a different story about addiction. So maybe it's not about the addiction. Maybe it's about the kids. Maybe it's about the adaptation of the environment. So, looking on his study, another professor, Peter Collins from Netherlands, he said, maybe we should not call it addiction. Maybe we should call it a bonding. See, humans have a natural anatomy to bond. We are happy when we are bonded together and connected together. But if you are traumatized, beaten up by life, isolated, and you then you will have bond with something else that will give you the same sense of relief as might of a connection with another human being. But at the time of crisis, there are less chances to call upon a friend, to ask him to come and sit by your side. So, majority of the youth which are under crisis find another way of relief. That may be pornography, heroin, cannabis, gambling, anything. But it's about the presence of your selfness in your life. When addicts got arrested, they came out of the prison with a criminal records, means they will never work in a legal economy again. And in a whole world, we treat addicts in the same way. We shame them, barriers between them to connect to the society, we make them suffer, we make them less connected to the society. There is a professor in Canada called Dr. Gabo Martin. He said that if you want to design a system that makes addiction worse, then you literally have to design a system. Yes. And the things got interesting when a country named Portugal decided to decriminalize every single drug available in the market. They decriminalized everything from coke to heroin to cannabis. And after decriminalization, they made a major step. They make an announcement that all the money we are going to get from this decriminalization will be used to reconnect the addicts to the society. And how this reconnection will be done. So they done it by giving jobs to the addicts, by giving micro loans to the addict to start a small business. See, the main goal in Portugal was to provide job for an every addict so that every addict every day has a reason to wake up from their bed and just go to work. And yes, this experiment is still going on and it has been 20 years now and the results are quite promising. The rate of injecting drugs dropped by 50%. The rate of HIV also dropped. The rate of overdoses naturally drops. See, there is another layer in our culture. Everybody is addicted to something, whether it's smartphone, whether it's eating, sleeping, bathing, anything. But how we came this far? Because we traded everything for our happiness. We traded stuff for connection, we traded for space for friends, we traded anything for any fulfillment of joy. And this thing resulted in the loneliest society in the human history. We are the loneliest society in human history because we traded everything for our personal desire, but we never look upon as a society whole. So when it comes to addiction, we only talks about individual recovery, that addicted must got recovered. But what about the recovery of society? We didn't talk about society, which made a person addict, because there is a loss of connection. And wherever there is a loss of connection, addiction is there, because people try to bond with another things, whether it's gambling, whether it's pornography, anything. So if you want to recover an addict, so you have to recover the society. See, we have to make our life more like a red park than like a red cage. So what I found from this whole experience, well, I found one thing. It's hard to love an addict. If you are loving an addict, you are angry, and at a point you are going to say that I wish someone will just stop you over them. But what we actually do, we just confront the addict, we threaten them, we tell them we will cut off you from our connection, we will cut off you from our side, we will not give you money if you don't change your behavior. So it's a direct imposing of drug war into our personal lives. Because what drug war do? The main purpose of drug war is to make a connection between law and addicted. They doesn't want to make a connection between addiction and the society. They just want to cut the connection in the between by putting the addicted in the jails. But what this thing came out later on was a big problem, because we don't know how to handle an addict. And for me, for every addict I see, I just told them, I know your body, I know your heart, what you have been going through. And whenever you want to be me at your side, I will be there. You are not alone. You are not really alone. I am with you and I will be with you. Since from a long time we are singing war songs about addicts. We are making them popular through our news, media and everything. Every day we took our newspaper in our hand and we see a lot of youth going to jails for small quantities of drug use. What they are going to do in jail? You are putting an addict in a prison system. If he came out of a prison system, then he is a hard criminal, because prisons are full of bloody criminals, which we call bloody criminals, which are harmful to the society. But a drug user, he is not harmful to the society. He is harmful to his own self. By breaking their connection with the society, we are making things more of worse than making them more of good. So, in my opinion, opposite to the addiction is not the sobriety, but opposite to addiction is connection. Thank you.